Let's get the read from General Terrence O'Shaughnessy, the commander of the U.S. Northern Command, kind enough to join us right now. Commander, do you know whether that has been granted? The governor wants those beds utilized for coronavirus cases as well. Has it?
Well, Neil, what I'll tell you is we're taking a three-prong attack at this, right? At the New York situation, as Brian kind of just outlined, we're sending doctors right directly to the hospitals because we know there's been some attrition in the hospitals themselves. We know that, for example, the Javits Center was originally a non-COVID center. We have to adjust fire. We know that the demand signal is such we need to do COVID patients, so we redid that, and now that is actually has COVID patients in it now. And I'll tell you, just over the last little bit. I'll give you a quick example. We had some folks come in last night to the Comfort in need of emergent care, and so we gave it to them. Turns out several of them were positive again. And so they're in our ICU units right now as COVID positive, but they need medical attention. We give them medical attention. And so we're taking all this into consideration. The SecDef has delegated me the authority to determine how we're going to employ the force here. We've been thinking it through. We've been reconfiguring the ship, seeing what we can do. And so I've made a decision. I've put that up to the White House task force, and I think we'll hear a bit about that later with the presidential brief.
Commander, can someone just walk up as a walk-in to the vessel and say, all right, I've got a temperature, I don't feel well, I think it could be coronavirus, and they would be treated there? Or what's the procedure for this?
Well, the procedure is it's tied in just with the rest of the medical system. So if you call an ambulance and they need to take them, they'll look. And really the Comfort is set up. It's set up for trauma. It's set up for high-end emergency care, that urgent care that requires high level of capability. And so that's what we really want to preserve it to the much extent as possible. But then, of course, we have the Javits Center for those kind of lower-tier medical conditions that need to be taken care of. But I'll tell you right now, we will not refuse anyone medical attention if they need it. And if everyone who has arrived at the Comfort has been taken care of, we've transferred some of them once they're able to be transferred over to the Javits Center. I think that's the beauty of the approach we've brought. We bring the whole end, the full spectrum, from low end to high end, and we're able to take it all. And we're tied right into the New York City and the New York State hospital systems.
And you're doing yeoman's work, General. I know you're not one to focus even remotely on what's happening in the market, nor should you be. But the market soared today on the belief that maybe there's a light at the end of this coronavirus tunnel, that the number of new cases and deaths being reported, not only in New York but nationally, seems to be slowing a tad. And they interpret that as making or reaching that so-called apex that Governor Cuomo talks about. You're in the front line in this battle. Do you agree with that we are near or at an apex with this?
Well, Neil, I hope you're right. And, of course, we plan for the worst case. And so we want to have capability available wherever it's needed. And the example would be the Seattle area where they took very aggressive actions. They thought they were going to have a higher need. In fact, we set up a hospital that's open up now. They had other federal hospitals that they've since released. That's the situation we'd love to have, is where we bring capability, capacity in, and it's never actually needed. So I hope you're right. I hope we're plateauing out. But we have to assume the worst case. We're going to be ready in case it's not.
So, General, when you step back for this and look at it, much has been made of the fact that the country, or so many in the country, want to get back to some semblance of normalcy by the end of the month. I know the standing figures out there are by April 30th to revisit the shelter-in-place provision that now is the rule of thumb, I think, in 42 states, General, 92% of the American population. That's still a ways ahead of us. But are you comfortable with that if you have a decline in the number of new cases, but not a decline outright in cases, that would be good enough for people to entertain resuming their lives, getting out of their homes, returning to work? What do you think?
Well, Neil, what I say is this whole of America approach that we've taken, where all the way down from individual citizens, obviously the frontline healthcare workers, private-public partnerships, we have to look at this holistically, and clearly the economy is part of our great nation. We have to take that in consideration. But we also have to realize that the great impact that we've had as a result of this kind of isolation, and what really an enormous impact that's had in the caseloads that we're seeing. So it's a balance. It's a balance between all of that. I love to see what our task force has been doing, have taken that all into account, given great guidance. The federal and the governors have been working extremely well together. And certainly what I see with a little peek behind the scenes of some of that in action is this just great people, great Americans trying to do the right thing, trying to think through what is the whole of America approach that needs to be taken. And I think those decisions are probably premature right now, but I think the right people are involved, and I think they're assessing all the right factors, and I know they're going to give great guidance going forward.
All right, General. Thank you very much. We'll have more after this.